Hello everybody, Maven here, and at long last, Renegades has finally launched within Destiny 2 today, and with it comes a handful of sandbox changes, most prominently to super damage and super related exotics. There's a lot that's changed, so surely the meta has been shaken up. They already announced 2 different supers will be stronger than Curus Thunder Crash, but today we'll be the judge of that because we're going to put all these changes to the test and see how they compare against our former top options. But before we begin our testing, if you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Do not miss out because we got a lot of daily Renegades content on the way that I've been cooking up for a while, and I'm excited to share with you guys. It includes the new exotic overhauls and builds utilizing them. So I'd love to see y'all stick around for more, and thank you so much if you do. Now let's get to some super testing. Hope you enjoy. Shout out to our sponsor, Advanced GG, the #1 gaming supplement in the world. Use code MAVEN at checkout for 10% off. Link down below. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna do our testing live since it's day 1. We're here in the shooting range going up against our buddy Greg. And to start off here, I wanted to start with some of our greatest of all time options to get like this starting ground to compare our overhauls against. So we're going to start off with Curus Falling Star Thunder Crash because we all know it's one of the best burst supers in the game. We're going to make sure for our testing today that we do not surpass 100 super so we can have consistent damage numbers across the board for fair testing. And it's nice to finally have the shooting range for one of these things so we don't have to manually get our super with bad juju. We can just do it there automatically. And against Greg here, after all of these Thunder Star or Falling Star shockwaves end, we get 15,817 total damage output. Now, if this wasn't being uploaded on day 1, I do this whole edited thing with graphics. But since I'm trying to release this day 1, we're going to do all our numbers here on a notepad. Make it easier and quicker. 15,817. Make this bigger. Control ++. And now next we're going to do Feast of Light Nova Bomb before we get to our new overhauled options. I just want to see how our former greatest burst options compare. So let's get it. All right, we are here on Warlock. We got to do Prismatic Nova Bomb here. Make sure we have that on, and then throw on our Feast of Light here. Star Eater, Spirit of Star Eater. You got to collect orbs of power, and it's going to buff your super by I don't even know how much %, but let's find out if it does more than Falling Star Thunder Crash. I'm going to have to grab some orbs here. I didn't think this through. BRB. Okay, I got my orbs, and max is out at 6. Let's reset this here, and let it rip. Okay, significantly less than Falling Star Thunder Crash at 13,938. 13,938 Thunder Crash in the lead. Let's move on to our new overhauled options. All right, so I took the time to do this and turned it into somewhat of a spreadsheet and added in everything that I wanted to test today. These include all of the major overhauls, as well as a couple more old options that I wanted to test out to compare. I separated into 2 categories, burst and roaming. For the roaming supers, we're gonna like kind of eyeball the average DPS, and then we're gonna get our total damage number from underneath that screen over Greg. So yeah, let's continue on. Since we're on Warlock, just gonna get all the Warlock stuff out the way, and we're gonna move on to the Matayo Doksha. As you know, I mean, I'm Korean, sorry, that's how I say it. All right, so this thing got an overhaul. They said that if you hit with 5 projectiles, it will now create this high damaging detonation. It'll do more than Curus Thunder Crash. So let's go on over to Strand here. Get our Needle Storm going. Make sure we don't have 100 super. We don't. All right, let's go ahead and test this baby out. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot to check. We got to make sure we have Thread of Evolution so our Threadlings can do more damage. Okay, so got that all checked out, and now that burst, like all those numbers hit for like 530, or maybe that was a Threadlings, but we did do 15,827. So you know what that means? 15,827, and that is 10 more damage than Curus Thunder Crash. They did not lie. They also changed to like the tracking on this particular super So they made it like prioritize bosses. So basically if like trash mobs get in the way, like it won't like heat seek to the trash mobs and it'll prioritize hitting bosses. So it's going to be a little bit more reliable. But I don't know about you. Whenever I use this super, just like a bunch of the projectiles whiff anyways. So I still think, you know, Kura's Thunder Crash is going to be more practical and more consistent. But who knows? After the changes, this could be pretty consistent. We'll have to wait and see because I'm sure people will test it out. So move on to the next one. All right, next up we have Geomax Stabilizers. And if you take a look here, they buffed Chaos Reach Super against combatants by 20%. So now with the Geomags, they might be back on the menu. They were never off the menu, in all honesty. People just don't use the Geomags enough, but this is honestly like one of the best exotics in the game. I'm not even kidding. I kind of like main this sort of at the moment, but I may main another exotic, hint hint, in an upcoming video. But yeah, okay, we got 78 super, and let's go ahead and reset Greg there. And I believe this might surpass T-Crash. Let's find out. And we also get all the ionic traces too. Yeah, look at that. Look at that damage. Look at that damage. 24,000 on the dot and applied jolts. And then it's also going to feed you a bunch of abilities because typically, you know, against things that die, you get loads of ionic traces. So obviously, things like the Strand Super and like Thunder Crash and Nova Bomb, they're going to happen in more of an instant. They're going to happen a lot faster. But still, getting, what is that, like 9,000 more damage out of this, I think is worth the extra 7 seconds. Like, I don't know about you, but I think that's worth it. Like, that is some no joke damage right there. So, it's no slouch. 24,000 on the dot, but taking just a few seconds longer. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it, like, because I personally think it's worth it. But let's move on to, looks like for Warlock here, we got to move on to some roaming supers, Ballador's Wrathweavers. So if I can pull this thing back over. All right, so Winter's Wrath Super increased Shatter Wave damage against frozen targets by 210%. That's hefty. Now, I don't know if it'll count on boss tier combatants because they cannot get frozen, but they also said they fixed an issue where boss combatants could not get frozen. So we'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and swap on over to Stasis and toss on our Ballador's Wrathweavers to boost this thing up here, and let's let it rip. Nah, this ain't it, Chief. Didn't even do as much as Geomags. And this is a roaming super. It's kind of pathetic. All right, total is 17,232. All right, my notepad kind of glitched out. I'm back 1,700. Now, Storm Dancer's Brace. So let me go ahead and open up this here. All right, so Stormtrance Super increased maximum sustained damage from 50 to 65%. And for, let's go ahead and look for Storm Dancer's Brace here. While Stormtrance is equipped, it now grants Bolt Charge for arc ability kills when amplified. Stormtrance damage bonus now builds on hits instead of kills. That's massive. That pretty much makes it guaranteed that you're going to get a damage boost out of Stormtrance. So you no longer need to like pop it around a ton of ads. You can just pop it on a boss alone and you're still going to get your boost. Increase the max count to compensate. Now needs 30 hits to cap. So top end damage is unchanged. But yeah, 50 to 65% is the buff that Stormtrance itself has received. So let's go ahead and swap over to Storm Dancer's Brace. There we go, 98, that'll do. All right, so what I want to do here is actually fly above Greg to make sure that we like connect with landfall. All right. Boop. And 198 was the lowest damage I saw. Our stacks on the left are racking up pretty quickly. DPS around 1,900 to 2,000. 789 is the max at 30 stacks. And yeah, that was like the DPS was ramping up from like around 1800, steadily going up to around 2200 as our stacks of ascendancy racked up on the left to 30. That racked up pretty quick, and we did 29,835 and applied jolt, which the jolt did not last very long, but that is actually pretty impressive. Like, that did more than geomags, albeit you have to be like right up on them to like use landfall on them, and also it's going to take probably like 3 seconds longer to do storm trance instead of like a extended chaos reach. And like chaos reach you can also miss because they can like be a small skinny target moving around, and you can actually miss a little bit sometimes. But with this, you kind of like don't miss. Like, this is actually really solid. What happened to my voice right there? But also, they overhauled this in general. So now ability damage while amplified grants bolt charge. And that's going to be 2 stacks of bolt charge if you have spark or frequency. So this actually is pretty good. So I already have some other builds in the works that I'm going to be releasing daily throughout the week. Hint, hint. But after those are out, I'm going to do this. Like, I really want to make a build around this. This actually seems like solid. We're sidetracking like crazy. We're here for DPS. Let's stick to DPS here. So what was our number? 29,835. 29,835. All right, so 29,835, and our DPS was around 1,800 to 2,200. So let's just say our DPS was around 2,000. Just average it out like in the middle, you know, be fair here. Between the low end and the high end. All right, so I wanted to test Storm Trance again with Crown of Tempests, because Crown of Tempests extends the duration of your Storm Trance. So I wanted to see if it's better to have like the buffed Storm Trance or the longer Storm Trance. Like, what matters more, length or girth? Well, we're about to solve that age-old question right now. And boop. Okay, so doesn't look like it's lasting that much longer, to be honest. And yeah, that's pitiful. Yeah, that is pitiful. You know what? You know what? Let's just say that was a mistake. That was an oversight. Screw Crown of Tempest. Forget about it. We're not adding that in the video. Storm Dancer's Brace is astronomically better. Like, not even worth considering Crown of Tempest at this point. Anyways, we got Dawn Chorus to get to. So let's go ahead and pull up our patch notes again here. So it was Dawn Chorus. Daybreak plus Dawn Chorus damage increased by 5%. Total Scorch stacks increased, but not only 5%, because Daybreak itself got increased by 20% and now scorches enemies by default. I don't know what that means. But yeah, so 25% in total is what we're getting here, plus more scorch. We've got to make sure that we have Ember of Ashes. So let's replace Solace here temporarily with Ashes. So we apply more scorch stacks to targets. Put on Daybreak. And take your guesses, folks, because I have a feeling that this is going to be some girthy damage. This video is all about girth at this point. Okay, this is actually take 2 because I forgot to check the DPS. So let's go ahead and do this here and take a look at our DPS. Look at that DPS. That's solid DPS right there. Like 3,100. And we do 23,775, just a little bit shy of Geomags, but I felt like that actually went faster than Geomags. Like, I'm not about to time it, but I feel like that was faster than Geomags and much faster than Storm Trance. So that was pretty good. 23,775 is our total. All right, so 23,775. And then our DPS was around 3,100. So yeah, that DPS, and like for how short of amount of time that was, this is looking like a promising super right here. And you know, Solar Warlock, always a great option. You got, you know, healing, you got very great ad clear with all the scorch like ignitions you cause. But now we got Nova Warp, and I was thinking about testing Astrocyte Verse. I'll throw it on anyways, but I don't think it changes anything. I don't think it does. Because it only reduces the amount of super energy you consume while blinking. But if we take a look at our patch notes here, Nova Warp Super increased primary attack damage against combatants by 15%. Charging the primary attack now pulls enemies towards the Warlock. And Dark Blink, so blinking during your super, now releases Weakening Seekers. So we're probably going to want to start off our super by blinking. I don't see this doing too much, but we'll find out. All right, I scuffed it, so I got to make a cut. So what you kind of want to do is like circle around like this, because you want to release those seekers, you know? Our DPS is not looking too hot. Around 13 to 1400. Yeah, around 1350. Only did like 17,000 damage. That was pretty bad. All right, I want to test it like one more time just to make sure that, you know, we did everything we could. What if we don't do the Weakening Seekers? Okay, what if, hold on. Okay, I want to try it again, but we definitely got a weaken. And I want to see what happens if I don't charge my heavy attack and if I just spam it. So, like, release the Weakening Seekers and just spam heavy attack here. When does the weaken run out? Okay, definitely sucks when you don't charge it. You definitely gotta charge it. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Get the weaken off. Charge. Weaken ran out. Okay. So we did around 1500 DPS, 19,024. I think that's the best I'm gonna do. I honestly don't think it's worth like going for the second weaken. I think you just want to do the initial weaken like at the start. So what was our damage here? It was 19,024. 19,024. 1,500. Yeah, not that good. Nova Warp was never really that great. But it looks like it is time to move on to the Titan. So let's go ahead and swap. All right, we're here on Titan. I checked back the recording, realized my game audio was a bit loud, so I turned it down a bit. All right, Ursa Furiosa. Now this one, I am very, very much excited for. Sentinel Shield, damage bonus while standing behind a shield reduced from 40% to 25%. So it's going to be a little bit less of a support super. Blocking attacks now extends super lifetime though, so it's gonna last longer. But most importantly, Ursa Furiosa. Blocking attacks and protecting allies now charges shield throw damage. And also your weapons, if you're standing behind a sentinel shield, reload automatically every 2.5 seconds. I feel like somebody's gonna find a way to break this with like rewind rounds weapons, maybe Darcy perhaps, I don't know. But didn't Ursa Furiosa receive its own buff? Yeah, Ursa Furiosa will now properly grant super energy if damage is blocked while a player has an overshield. Super energy stored is no longer scaled based on enemy difficulty. All right, well, I'm excited because the shield throw buff, they said that it was gonna do as much as a Thunder Crash. Like T crashes, just like you get like a couple T crashes out of this thing, you know? All right, we got to reduce our super energy here. Okay, I scuffed it first time. Let's do this again. Field throw is getting buffed, right? 12,334 damage. That is as much as a Thunder Crash. And watch, like, because I'm blocking with it, or maybe it's Ursa Furiosa, my super energy is getting refunded. And mind you, okay, 25,000. Mind you that it also said, that blocking damage from allies, like protecting your allies, will increase that shield throw charge even faster. So I imagine in like a raid, if you're just getting destroyed by like something as aggressive as the Templar's Void Blast, you know, like, and you're blocking that from 5 people, you're probably going to get like an insane amount of shield throw charges. Obviously, you got to wait for the shield throw itself to have its cooldown done, but you're going to be able to get like 3 or 4 of them off, and they just chunk for like 12k. Like as much as like a T crash, you get like 3 T crashes out of 1 super. And then like look at my super energy. Because I'm wearing Ursa Furiosa, look at that. I have like 60% of my super already back because Ursa Furiosa allows you to spam like crazy. So you just top off by, because also when you block damage with your Sentinel Shield, it just spits out tons of orbs for your allies so that they can spam more supers. And then you pick up their orbs, you top off your super, and just repeat the loop. So it's kind of disgusting. It's just like during like a raid DPS phase, you're basically going to be able to have this up the entire DPS phase and just like spam it back to back. So that's honestly like pretty decent because, I mean, think about it though. 40% buff down to 25%. You're losing 15% for your entire team there, but you're getting these free T crashes. Like, what is more worth it? Honestly, I feel like the extra 15% damage for your allies might be more worth it, just like in total, like over the duration of DPS, but I don't know, you be the judge. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out when the Aegis Relic makes his big DPS testing video. Okay, this one's a little bit of a tough one. 23,935 it was. And DPS, I'm just gonna put NA here. Good old North America. Because we can't, like, I don't know, that's not like, it's just gonna toss 2 shields periodically. I think it's more of like a burst super than a roaming super, to be completely honest with you. But, you know, it's interesting because, like, while it does decent damage, it takes a long time, but it's more of just like a support super. It's like Titan's version of Well of Radiance, except you don't get to use your weapons. So it's questionable. It's like, I'm on the fence whether this is really good or really bad. But let's move on to Fist of Havoc. Fist of Havoc super, light attacks now increased the next heavy's attack damage. They do not say by how much, but we're gonna find out. Now, I was going to throw on the Eternal Warrior, but I don't think this actually does anything for Fist of Havoc. It just gives you an overshield. And Final Blows extend its duration, but since we're using it against a boss, we're not gonna activate that. All right, so we first need to see how this works. So 14,000. So if I don't use a light attack, our heavy attack does 14,000. Nothing changed. Not a thing changed. So was this one of those instances where Bungie either forgot to patch this in, or is this like some obscure section where I didn't read, oh, this is going to be happening in February, you know? I don't know. But it didn't look like that worked. It said light attacks increase the next heavy attacks damage. I'm pretty sure I did that and it didn't work. So we're just going to scratch this one and move on to the next one. Okay, next up, Behemoth. We're not going to use Synthos. I feel like whenever you use Synthos for like boosting your super in specific, it never works out. If you're doing a raid, people are killing the ads. They're not going to, if you ask them to leave ads for your Synthos, they're never going to do it. All right, so I wanted to test base Behemoth, but they did nerf because Howl of the Storm aspect here, when using your super, increase super energy cost from 5 to 15%. I did a build video a few weeks ago, showing how broken Howl of the Storm is during Behemoth Super. And we did like 4,000 DPS. Like, it was crazy strong. And I guess Bungie saw that video and they nerfed it. So I'm sorry, but yeah, I just wanted to see how it compares. We don't even really need any specific exotic. We just need base Behemoth. But I just wanted to see how it compared against our other options. All right, here we go. I'm pretty sure Howl of the Storm is still going to be like the best thing to do here. Yeah, we did like 3,000, like we were at 3,600 at one point. And these crystals didn't even shatter. So let's just, a nice middle ground, let's say around 3,400. I'm going to put 3,400. That still did a lot of DPS there, but the super did last way shorter than when I did that build a few weeks ago. So 23,894, 23,894, and that did go by pretty quickly. 23,894 and around 3,400-ish. So Behemoth does hit like a truck, does do a lot of DPS, goes by pretty quickly, but the problem is that not a lot of bosses are Behemothable. Some of them fly, some of them are too skinny, some of them teleport, some of them move, you know? So not every boss is Behemoth worthy, but when they are, it's a pretty solid option. But now it looks like we have no more no more burst supers for Titan to test out here. So we got to move on to Hunter, BRB. All right, we are on Hunter, and I will admit I forgot to click record. So I did Raid and Flux, and I did Feast of Light Blade Barrage. And now I'm on Feast of Light Silence and Squall, as you can see right here. I got ×6 Feast of Light, and we're going to double back around to the other ones I missed so I can show you how they did. Well, let's see. Oh, I forgot to tell you why we are doing Silence and Squall. And that is because in this patch note here, 63% buff to Silence and Squall. Probably the biggest buff in these patch notes. So this is either going to be really good or really underwhelming. I don't know which, but we're going to find out in 3, 2, 1, go. Now, I do have this in the one and done super section, although it is somewhat of a roaming super, but the fact that you can use your weapons right after casting it means it's kind of a one and done super. And it doesn't look like it's doing too hot. After that final shatter there, 12,611. 12,611. Really not that impressive, I'll be honest. I expected way more. I can guarantee you expected way more. But anyways, let's go double back around to Raid and Flux. Now, Arc Staff nor Raid and Flux received any changes in Renegades, but we're testing it anyways because I always felt that this was a very slept on super. Very, very slept on. So let's go ahead and try it out here. I already know the numbers because I just tested it, but you guys haven't seen it yet because I didn't click record. All right, so Arc Staff, like I said, no changes. It's exactly as it was. I just felt people don't give this thing enough respect because it's really good and it makes your Arc Staff feel like it lasts forever. And you're supposed to do like a light, light, heavy combo. Like so. DPS seems to be around 1,800. Like around 1,900-ish. 1900. 24,282. 24,282. I did the same thing last time I typed 383. And then our DPS was like around, be generous and say 1,900. So I was saying it does make your Arc Staff last very long, but the DPS doesn't translate to how long it lasts. So Dawn Chorus being quicker, having way higher DPS, and doing almost just as much damage, I think is way more impressive. So Radiant Flux, although I feel it's slept on, still not the greatest thing in the game. I'd be happy with popping this at a boss. If you throw Power Preservation on your helmet, you can make a ton of orbs, like Doomfang Pauldron on Sentinel Shield Titan, because it boosts the amount of orbs that you can generate for your allies, and you can make a ton with Radiant Flux Arc Staff because of how long it lasts. So it has its strength in other places. But for DPS, kind of C tier. But let's go ahead and move on to our next thing, which was the Feast of Light Blade Barrage. Feast of Light Blade Barrage, and the reason for this is because Blade Barrage, I'll pull up the patch notes here. Blade Barrage received a 39% buff. It's a pretty hefty buff. Gotta make some orbs of power for this real quick for our Feast of Light. Also gotta make sure you have on Ember of Beams to increase your super projectile tracking, and you gotta have Knock 'em down so your Blade Barrage launches more projectiles. So let me make some orbs and I'll be right back. All right, I got my Feast of Light ×6, and fun fact, if you want your Blade Barrage to be more accurate, you gotta do it while holding backwards. If you move backwards for some reason, it's more accurate. Don't ask questions. It's just how it is. 17,197. Now, I'm not gonna lie. When I last tested it, when I forgot to click record, we did like 18,500 something. I have the non-existent recording, but I was there and it did around 18,500. You guys didn't see it, but I did. So that's what I'm putting. Fight me. But yeah, for that amount of damage, it does more than the Matayo Doksha and the Curse Thunder Crash. However, Feast of Light, Star Eater scales, it's annoying. I'll be honest, to have to worry about orbs when your teammates are stealing your kills in a raid. It's not the funnest thing to do. Also, your super has to be full or else you won't get stacks of Feast of Light. So there's a couple layers of annoyance to have consistency with the Star Eater scales. And also Blade Barrage, if you don't have Ember of Beams, tends to miss. And you don't really want Ember of Beams on your build because it ruins your chance of running other good fragments. So not my most favorite thing in the world, even though it did do the most. Did less than Geomags, but Geomags took like 7 times longer than just popping a one and done Blade Barrage. But it did more overall. It's going to be more consistent. You don't need to make orbs. So I'm a little bit on the fence whether Feast of Light Blade Barrage is really good or really bad, but you be the judge of that. But now we got Feast of Light Deadshot Golden Gun. That's right, not the Marksman Golden Gun, the Deadshot. Now, why the Deadshot, you might ask? Because Golden Gun Deadshot 6-shooter, I believe Marksman is a 3-shot, increase the damage versus boss combatants by 26%. That's definitely not as big of a buff as the 39% Blade Barrage got, but also Golden Gun projectiles now Scorch. 40 stacks of base, 10% with Ember of Ashes. So let's go ahead and make sure that we have on Ember of Ashes. All right, I got my orbs, and now since this benefits from Radiance, we're gonna do a little acrobat dodge here. Hop, and we don't get precision boosts, but we can get ignitions like that. 11,870. And that was Feast of Light ×6 and Radiant. So not the most impressive thing in the world. 11,870. I have a hunch. Call it a hunch. A good hunch. But I have a feeling Celestial Nighthawk, the good old classic, is going to be worlds better than Feast of Light 6-shooter. But we can only find out by giving it a try. So let's do it. All right, here we go. Pop Radiant. Pop Goalie. 15,044. 15,044. 15,044. The sun's in my eyes, and I'm wearing shades as I play Destiny, so it's kind of hard to see where I'm typing on my keyboard. All right, so did less than the Matail Doksha and the Curse Thunder Crash. But you can use it from like any distance. You can miss it, which I often do because I'm bad. But the fact that you can pair it with the Still Hunt is where it really shines. And the reason I wanted to test this out, even though it doesn't count as, you know, super DPS testing, is because the Still Hunt, it's not showing it here in this section, so I'll have to search for it here. Still Hunt got buffed while using Celestial Nighthawk by 40%. That is one juicy buff, and I like juice. So got the Still Hunt right there, like that. 17 or 7,500. Okay, so it would be nice to know how much it did before, but the fact that you pair that on top of Celestial Nighthawk and then have some like rocket launcher swapping combo with like, you would probably have like some kind of primary in the kinetic slot, so it'd just be like between this and an auto loading rocket launcher, or you know, the good old classic reconstruction Apex Predator like we did back in the day on the Witness. But you had 7513 on top of the 15,000 from Celestial Nighthawk Goldie, and that's 22k right there. So these two together still remain as an iconic duo that is tried and true. And if you're going up against any like precision raid boss, this is going to be a solid option. I don't know how much it did before. I don't have numbers to compare against, but I'm sure the Aegis Relic will know soon enough once he does his extreme testing. And now our final option, the Orpheus Rig. This is another one of those exotics that they said would do more than the Curse Thunder Crash, and they didn't lie with the Matail Doksha. It does do 10 points more, and hopefully they didn't lie about Orpheus Rig, because this one looks like it could be juicy, fellas. Orpheus Rig increased the super duration of your 3-shot Mobius quiver from 16 seconds to 20 seconds. And then the Deadfall super, or it's not the tether source, the weaken's now 35%, but it was the Mobius quiver. While the super is active, dealing damage now increases the power of subsequent shadow shot attacks and with bow weapons. So you're probably going to want to use this along with like the Leviathan's Breath. So maybe I should actually pull the Leviathan's Breath from collections. Let's go ahead and do that, because I want to see how much it gives the bows. And here's another time I get to flex that I am the world's #1 kill leader on Leviathan's Breath at 2762. Crucible opponents defeated. But yeah, let's throw on our good old Orpheus Rig here with our 3-shot. Didn't tell us how much damage the subsequent shots would deal, but dealing damage with that first shot will extend the duration of the super. And then we gotta deal subsequent damage. Okay, so first I want to see how much we do with base Leviathans. All right, so 2,100 total. And then after I pop this, we're gonna get the weaken too. But yeah, 30, that's like 5,000 damage, 5,200 damage on our bow shots there. Our subsequent of these does like 6k damage. And yeah, that's doing a lot. It's doing a lot, but I gotta test this more properly here. Okay, let's see this in action. So does it work? Okay, I have to charge it up. So I have to like deal damage with other weapons, right? So it's charging up Mobius Quiver as I deal damage with other stuff. See, with a primary, it barely charges. You can see the meter on the left side of the screen. It barely charges it with the primary. Barely. Does it charge quicker if I am using a bow? Because I happen to have this random bow on me. Let's find out. Okay, so I don't think it is charging a little bit quicker. I do have kinetic tremors going right now. and it is charging quite a bit quicker, but I won't have time with the primary to like fully charge it and still get off my last 2 shots of my super. So you got to be using like something that does a lot of damage. Let me see if I got like a machine gun on me, which I do. And this one has 4 times the charm right here. Perfect. So that should be perfect for testing this out. All right, so now with the machine gun, does it charge quicker? It does charge quicker. Not that fast. Doesn't charge that. Okay, how fast did it charge with Leviathan's Breath? Because I wasn't really paying attention. Okay, so with Leviathan's Breath, how fast does Mobius Quiver charge? So much faster. You see that? 2 shots and it's full. 2 shots and it is completely full. But like, how about a rocket launcher? The good old Renegades meta bipod cluster that everybody's breaking the game with. Okay, so with the Renegades, with the rocket launcher, it takes 4 rockets to fully charge Mobius Quiver. So yeah, Leviathan's Breath, I think Bungie is kind of like intending on us to use Leviathan's Breath here. It kind of seems like it was meant to be. There's a lot of things to test though. There's so many exotics at this point. I'm sure there will be something like maybe the Thunderlord, maybe the Grand Overture. Like you shoot a volley of 20 rockets like right after a Mobius Quiver and it just insta charges it. You know what? This isn't a Mobius Quiver video, but I want to try that out real quick. Okay, I got it here. Let's get it locked and loaded. Pop our super. Launch our 20 volley and boom, insta charge the Mobius Quiver and now boom, boom. 26,000. Dude, that's it? I honestly expected like way more than only 27,039 damage. Because if you remember correctly, our Storm Dancer's Brace did 29,000 and didn't need a 20-shot volley from one of the most broken exotics in the game. It didn't need any other help or assistance from anything. It was just literally just the Storm Dancer's Brace, pop your super, and you're done. And you don't need any ads anymore. It's so much more forgiving. I think we're on to something here with the Storm Dancer's Brace. I honestly think this might be like crazy meta or whatever. But we can't really... So we saw the subsequent shots of Orpheus Rig when it was at max did about 6,000 damage. The initial shot, I don't know. But that did look like it was going to do more than the Cursed Thunder Crash by quite a bit. Subsequent shots doing about 12,000. The first one probably a few thousand itself. Hard to calculate because like I'm throwing like exotic, like heavy damage and like other damage into the mix and just kind of throwing off our numbers there in the testing range. Once again, I'll type it here in the chat. The Aegis Relic. I can't type when I'm wearing sunglasses while the sun is like glaring in my eyes right now, guys. But yeah, go subscribe to the Aegis Relic. This is like the best DPS tester in our community. He spends his days like in and out just testing everything, and he like creates these Google Docs, like these huge publicly available spreadsheets where you can like see all the DPS of everything. I don't know if they're publicly available, but you can, I don't know, maybe leave a comment, help his algorithm or something. But yeah, go subscribe to this person. I'm sure they will do some extremely in-depth testing in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I don't really have to type this one because I'm 100% positive you are all already subscribed to As to Cross, but As to Cross also does like really pretty in-depth like super DPS comparisons like whenever new sandbox changes come out. So go subscribe to As to Cross if you aren't for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure you are. Subscribe to these people. I just did this. I just wanted to release this on day one, you know, because I have a lot of other stuff planned to get to. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is test out all of the exotic primary or exotic weapon sandbox changes that happened in Renegades. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. This is going to wrap up our live testing here as a final thoughts for the damage numbers that we got today. I would say the biggest surprises is definitely Storm Dancer's Brace. Expect a build of this coming in like a few days, probably like 6 or 7 or 8 days. It will be here. Hold your horses. The Matayo Doksha, pretty good. I could see, like, I've been actually wanting to do a build around this in like alone, like before they even announced the changes to its super being OP. I actually thought about doing a build with this because it kind of impressed me, so I could see myself doing a build with that. And Celestial Nighthawk Still Hunt is going to be definitely a top option if you are a hunter main through and through, and there's ever a precision boss in your way. Don't count this out. Have this stuff ready on your character to like hot swap to have a build ready for DPS. That's always going to be a good option. Orpheus Rig, I think, is going to be pretty good along with the Leviathan's Breath. I don't know how it's going to hold up sustained DPS wise, but we will see with time. Ursa Furiosa, I don't know. Dawn Chorus was a big surprise. I think this one is pretty good as well. As you can see, it did like almost as much burst DPS as Behemoth, but being a lot more user-friendly against a wider variety of bosses and doing just about the amount of same total damage output. So Dawn Chorus, very, very, very good as well. So honestly, these two right here, top options. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is there anything I missed? Thank you so much for watching, and hope you have fun with Renegades. See you tomorrow.